Apparently even Badge Plug weighed in on this, saying, as to my case, that from my knowledge, 2K doesn't listen to almost any creators, yet the bots say creators are responsible for ruining 2K. Some folks feel like 2K only listens to creators. And if you're one of those people who actually feels like that, you should definitely stay tuned for the rest of this video. Little Sean gets removed from the 2K Nextmaker program and gets banned on 2 different consoles. This means he can't even play the game that he paid for, the game that he invested even more money in microtransactions for. Little Sean has been banned for breaking the Nextmaker program NDA agreement. Now keep it a buck, does that even make sense? You're playing a video game. The video game gets you into a Nextmaker program, a program that 2K created to help bridge the gap between the community and development. But the big question here is, was that gap ever bridged? Did 2K ever even once listen to 2K Nextmaker? Before we continue this, I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. If 2K's intention with this Nextmaker program was to help bridge the gap between creators and development and also the community and development, I would have to say that the program has failed tremendously. I have personally played a ton of 2K23 and never, not once, have I ever been influenced by a 2K Nextmaker. I can't even tell you one person who's in the Nextmaker program. I guess there really wasn't an advertising budget, a marketing budget set aside for 2K Nextmakers. And keep in mind, y'all, this program was developed during the pandemic. And considering the pandemic has pretty much been lifted, the budget for the 2K Nextmakers may be lacking. In fact, they just got rid of 2 pillars of the Nextmaker program, Mitchell and OG. Now, me personally, I haven't been playing much of 2K23 because I've been working on my second channel. If you guys got 1 second, take a second and go on over to my second channel. The link will be in the description below. AllCity 2. I've been pumping content on that channel for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. But if we reel this all back in, let's start from the beginning and find out why this even happened in the first place. Now, 2K has a Discord, and apparently they have this separate room for 2K Nextmakers to communicate with other leaders in the 2K community. Lil Sean sent out this message seeking guidance. He says, "Hey guys, can someone tell me what it means to be a Nextmaker? I need a morale boost and I'm losing sight of why we are all here. Trying my best to stay motivated," and cap that statement off with a smiley face emoji. One of the leaders within that program, Joe Chuck, completely ignored that and just moved on. You heard that right. One of the leaders for the Nextmaker program completely ignored an actual Nextmaker asking for guidance. And because this message in particular got ignored, Little Sean said, "You know what? We're taking this to the public." And he sends out this tweet here with a screenshot of the actual message log saying, "This might get me kicked out the Nextmaker program, but this is unacceptable." Little Sean is upset that Joe Chuck ignored his message but responded to the one right after his. And I find this sad because he's actually seeking guidance. He needed a morale boost and actually said that. My take is, if you're gonna have a program and you're gonna incorporate leaders within that program, then those leaders need to know how to lead. There should be a trickle down effect. If someone is actually in need of a morale boost on the lower end of the totem pole, in this particular program, the Nextmaker program, the trickle down effect from leadership up top, leading from the top down, should be able to alleviate the concerns from the folks that are lower in the totem pole. Folks that like to lead with a heavy hand, those are the folks that help create an uprising. Lethal 2K sends out this tweet saying he exposed the Nextmakers have to stay quiet with 3 shock face emojis. Little Sean responds to that saying, "Yup," and then got banned and kicked. And this is where things get extremely disrespectful on behalf of Little Sean. He sends out this tweet saying, "F your legal team, Chuck, and your NDA." He goes on to say the Nextmaker program is a complete joke. Y'all can't take criticism. Y'all want the Nextmakers to be puppets. Nextmakers have no pull. Nextmakers can't get ish fixed unless it's a glitch like VC boosting. With 6 crying face emojis, he says SMD, Joe. Now, I ain't gonna front, those are fighting words. Where I come from, you say SMD, you getting knocked out. You never invite another grown man to those areas. And although I don't agree with the delivery of this actual tweet, I could definitely see the frustration on Little Sean's part. It's like, how could this even happen? How does a consumer get banned from playing the game? Didn't it violate terms of service for that product. Now, I could understand if you violate the NDA agreement to be removed from the Nextmaker program, but what I can't understand, similar to Joe Chuck leading with a heavy hand and completely ignoring the initial message, failing to de-escalate, 2K itself seems to lead with a heavy hand as well and banning Little Sean from actually playing the game for violating the non-disclosure agreement, which should be completely separate from the actual terms of service agreement for playing the game. But this is not over, because Poor Boy Sin weighs in on this as well. Little Sean retweeted this from Poor Boy Sin. He says, Sin understands. Sin saying, not gonna lie, I've done so much for NBA 2K and dedicated the last 7 years of my life to the company. He continues on and says, I've tried to help make this game better in so many ways, and they really just don't listen to us. So help me understand, y'all. What is the purpose of the Nextmaker program? And is the Nextmaker program on the brink of collapse? Before we wrap up this video, I want to drop one bit of information, and this is primarily directed at Little Sean. I understand the way in which he handled this situation, but it wasn't tasteful. There's just certainly better ways to go about things. Going public with obscenities and trying to create a stir is definitely not going to prove beneficial to you, and is not going to bother or hurt 2K at the least bit. With that being said, y'all, the way in which you part ways with a particular affiliation is just as important as gaining the affiliation. If you're thinking long-term, you're thinking career-minded, then you should be smarter about the way in which you part ways. This way, you never sour the prospect of gaining alternative affiliations in the future. And this doesn't have to do anything involved with 2K, but keep in mind that the internet is forever, so folks can backtrack and see how you handle the situation, and it may be the determining factor on being accepted for future affiliations. Hopefully that helps provide a more grounded perspective on this whole thing. How do y'all feel about how 2K handled this situation with Little Sean? What do you think about Little Sean and how he handled the situation? Sound off in the comment section below. Thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all be sure to keep it locked right here at AllCity Live TV, because we got a bunch more NBA 2K23 news, information, and updates coming your way. Drop a like, drop a sub on your way out. I'll catch you guys on the next video or live stream. Easy, y'all.